Cancer, while recognizable for its biological effects of unchecked cellular reproduction, often goes unnoticed in terms of its overarching effect on people. While the biological effects of cancer are still highly significant, the surplus of ways in which cancer affects people beyond that are frequently overlooked.
I was diagnosed on August 8th, 2008, and I found my own lump, and I had breast cancer on a Thursday morning in the shower, and I didn't think much of it, and went into the doctor, and they shared that I had to have a biopsy. So I had the biopsy, and after the biopsy, Friday afternoon, about 6 o'clock, they called, and my initial reaction was one of great shock. I was very emotional, and I cried a lot that weekend, and I felt that it really wasn't fair, and I had to figure it out because I had two young girls. My daughters were 5 and 3, and I was 36 at the time, so really questioning why was this happening to me.
It's very different being a patient and then being a caretaker and watching people that you love go through it. And I think that's been hard for me because my whole life, I was the caretaker for my mom, and then I was the caretaker for my dad, and I saw them go through it. And then when you're the one going through it yourself, it's very, very different. And I didn't, going in, when I found out I had cancer and going in on it, I thought, well, I saw my mom do it and I saw my dad do it and I know how chemo is and I know this and I know that. And I think it was my way of controlling the situation. And then once I was going through it, I was like, this is so much more different than what anybody could ever think of. So
emotionally, it's difficult to accept what she has. And I do my best to put time into things like Relay for Life and look into research and how it's coming along. And my mom does work with cancer trial medication, so I always ask her, hey, are you on a trial for something like what Nana has? And every once in a while she'll say yes, and it's awesome because it's this crazy new science that no one's ever seen before. But worry and anxiety about it can get heavy sometimes.
When I found out I had cancer, I was going to graduate school, I was working full time, and I had other life goals going on too. At the time I loved to ride horses, and I was getting my horse where I was living at the time, and all these little things where when you're living your life you don't really think about it. You're like, I have work, I have school, and I found out I had cancer, and I at first thought, okay, I have cancer, I'm going to go through treatment, but I don't need to change my life. And then when I won't ever forget it, I went back to my doctor's office to just discuss what kind of treatment. And she literally told me, she said, you're not, the form of treatment that you need to do, you can't work. You can't go to school. You're going to be sick all the time. And I thought, so in a blink of an eye, suddenly your whole life changes. So I wasn't working anymore. I had to drop out of school. And then, like I said, like little things, like, I'm going to bring my horse up and I'm going to start to ride, or I'm going to go on a trip next week. And at the time, I was even engaged and I was planning a wedding, and all these things had to be put on hold, and like literally in a month. And it's just, and suddenly all those get put on hold, and your whole life is just about how to make your life healthy. And that's my whole life now, is treatments, and that's it. So
at the time, I learned a lot through cancer. I learned that people definitely judge people by their outer appearance, and that taught me a lot of great life lessons. When you lose your hair and you look sickly and you have no eyebrows and you have no hair on your face, no hair on your head, and you're really skinny and you're pale, people judge you and question what's wrong with this person. So how it affected me and my relationship with others, I became what I feel like is a better person and more tolerant of people, definitely more patient of people. And I also learned, and I teach my girls this now, never judge a book by its cover, the old cliche, but even more importantly, never question a person's life because you don't know what they're doing or what they're living. And so you really need to be more tolerant of people and more understanding of people. And my relationships with people became even better. So emotionally, it was tough. Ups and downs. Of course, initially, I was totally distraught. Uh, when you get a diagnosis of cancer, you don't know if you're going to live or die. And my treatment was aggressive, and there were points where I was not doing well. There was one point where my oncologist really felt like I wasn't going to live. And thank God I had a turnaround. The emotional ups and downs came with the treatment. Of course, as a woman with breast cancer, I had a bilateral mastectomy. So they removed both breasts. And that was an emotional experience that is very hard to describe as a woman. It was one of great sadness and a loss. And then you question yourself as how you look, how you appear, how beautiful you are or are not to your spouse, other people. And in the end, I am so happy I made that decision because it's afforded me to live now 8 years cancer-free, happy, healthy. I have 2 beautiful girls. I'm a single mom now, but I'm doing fabulous. I work out every day. I take care of myself, and I'm very, very happy. So emotionally, I was up and down through the treatment, but I can say now I live life every day, and I enjoy every moment.
I do my best whenever she's around to make sure she knows she's loved, and more importantly, because the way I understand it is most people of her diagnosis don't make it much past 12, 15 years after they get diagnosed, so time is important. She's doing well, and they haven't had an issue yet, so some people last much longer. But mostly I just try and use time wisely.
It's affected me emotionally in many different ways. I think the very, very big one for me is how I've had to change my life. I used to be the person that, like I said, I was pretty outgoing. Maybe not as outgoing as some people are, but I always had a plan. I always was around people for work. If I wasn't working or at school, I was doing things with friends or family. And now I can't do that. So I think a big thing is loneliness, because I can't always go out and do things and whatnot. And so you sit at home and you don't have a job. You don't have anything that I can't do anything that might kind of help me give some, purpose, like to get up in the morning and be like, okay, I have a job right now, or I'm going to school or something like that, because I can't. And I think that's been very, very hard for me, because you can live a very lonely life. I am a true believer, and I blame this a lot on my mom, because my mom had leukemia. She had leukemia for 5 years, and she underwent treatment for 4 years of her life, and it was a lot. And I remember her always having a smile on her face, always being happy, always not showing. She was so strong. And I truly believe that a big part of why she was able to live 4 years of her life, even though they were hard, was a lot of it of her attitude towards it. So, and I'm not saying that that's going to be the cure, but I think a lot of it has to do with that. So, looking on remission, I like to keep a positive attitude. I think that pushes me. It's like there has got to be hope. I need to be in remission. I need to figure this out. I need to keep doing treatment. What's next?
You definitely have to let people help you. At 36, I thought I had the world by the tail, and I thought I could do it all by myself every day. I recognize now that I wasn't really a team player. I was an individual that thought I had everything I needed and I could do everything I wanted by myself. And what cancer taught me is it truly takes a village to make life the best life you can have. I had to depend on my friends to make my meals, to take care of my kids, to take them to school and from school. I had friends clean my house. I had friends help me change clothes. I had friends help me go to the bathroom. I had friends help me change bandages and drains and cut my hair and shave my head. And so at the end of it, I learned that we're all just people that have to take care of other people. So let people take care of you.
Cancer's effect on people is extremely broad. With the extensive amount of research dedicated to cancer, like through the American Cancer Society, great strides have been made in understanding and treating it. With further research, hopefully all the various effects of cancer beyond the biological ones will be more widely recognized.